October 17, 2022.
Rise for a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. All notice of publication, please, Jessica.
This special meeting has been advertised in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Conti.
Here.
June 4.
Here.
Marr.
Here.
Novak.
Here.
Anoha. Roberts.
Here.
Okay, before we go into our discussion, I just wanted to put a couple of things on the record in reference to the public meeting. First, I've received several calls prior to coming in here this evening that the agenda has not been posted online. There was also conversations about whether this meeting was going to be held hybrid. So I truly and 100% had expected that all of our meetings, whether special or in person, when we went hybrid, were going to be available both virtually and in person, especially a special meeting, because a special meeting means that there's emergent information or emergent action that has to be taken, and the entire town should have that availability, not just on regular meeting days. It's my understanding that tonight's meeting will not be virtual, obviously, because we don't have our devices in front of us. So I am concerned about that because I think that every resident, it looks like it's going to rain. We do have some people here, but I'm sure there's a lot more people that would probably have attended or at least listened to that meeting. The other question that I'll ask is of the attorney. The agenda was not posted publicly on our pages the way that they normally are. I want to make sure that this meeting is valid.
And so, Mayor, all good points. The notice was properly published. There is no requirement that it be published on our website. We do that certainly as a transparency. It was posted on the bulletin board of the Borough Hall. I think that you are able to continue with this special meeting and further discussion of Resolution 2022-266.
I appreciate that comment, Mike. From your perspective of legality, I do think it's concerning, though, for the public because we have a special meeting. It was my understanding that there was a lot of posting and advertising from residents regarding coming to this meeting, but not many of our residents are always on Facebook. So I wish that there were more people that were aware of this meeting, what the contents of the meeting were, and that it was going to be virtual as well. I fight for transparency, and as the lawyer said, we do this for transparency. So this seems a little less transparent. With that, we do have discussion on resolution number 2022-266. I do have several statements that I would like to make, but I have 266 here.
All right. It's 267.
So the resolution number is incorrect.
On mine, it's correct.
On ours, it's incorrect.
The proper resolution is 2022-267.
It's just on the agenda.
Yep, it's just mistyped on the agenda.
I mean, there's a lot of, oh, that's surprising. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. On the agenda, it inadvertently pointed out 2022-266 when it should be 2022-267.
Do we know if that's what was posted on the bulletin board, which was the only agenda that was made available to the public? So it may have been mistyped also on the bulletin board agenda. This is the stuff that is concerning people. This is the stuff that I worry about. I did find out some interesting information. I don't know if the rest of the council knew this. And I'm glad that we are here today. I'm very glad that we're here today. But I was hoping to have more information readily available before tonight. Unfortunately, did the council receive emails tonight or earlier today on the grant? Did everybody here receive additional information from the grant writer today before the meeting? Yeah. Mary, did you receive additional information from the grant writer today? Councilwoman Roberts? today, the 17th. Michelle, you got additional information today from the grant writer? And the remaining council people, Councilman Conti and Councilwoman June 4th? Remember, one of my other concerns was that we weren't going to have information available to us, and here we have the day of the meeting. We were just now receiving information from the grant writer. I will tell you, I got a call from the attorney just about, I don't know, half an hour ago, informing me that additional information was sent today. I mean, really? To review for today, hours before the meeting? I don't know how anybody can feel comfortable making government decisions literally within a couple of hours when you get that from the grant writer. I know that people like to say that I have a tendency to pontificate on things, which I do, yes. But I think that this is important. I stayed up and I drafted after the last meeting. Yes, Mary, I know. We all know how you feel about me. The last meeting, you called me a bitch, I know. Which I didn't think was very good decorum as a council person, but that's okay. So I will ask that you entertain me for just a little bit, because this is a very important decision, although some might not think so. First, I want to say unequivocally and 100%, I favor, I want, and I never said I did not, I want the enhancement of our athletic and recreational facilities. 100%. I'm a lifelong educator, for crying out loud. Of course I care about kids. My whole life has been about kids. I've dedicated myself to coaching, both for the Sayreville AA and the Sayreville Little League. I first raised the idea of a community center here in this town, as previous council people had before me. Michelle, if you remember, and you were on that committee, that became your signature project until it was put on hold by a political boss. No one has heard anything about that lately, since it didn't poll well, apparently, and I got a phone call telling me that. As a matter of fact, Councilman Anoa, you were also on that community center committee, and then it went completely dead and silent. So don't try to tell me that I'm not concerned about our children or the recreation in this town. But as your mayor, I need to be concerned about transparency, fiscal responsibility, and legality first. Next, through no fault of our own, this town has gotten embroiled in an embarrassing... You need some water? You okay? Through no fault of our own, the town has gotten embroiled in an embarrassing, costly scandal that is not over yet. And I will not dig us deeper into that hole. All questions need to be answered, every I needs to be dotted, and every T needs to be crossed, and we have to know exactly what strings are attached to any grant for this $5 million project before I will sign off on it. But again, I want this grant. Make no mistake about that. I want this grant. I wouldn't have signed off on the other two if I didn't. Forget that. There was a $500,000 grant, and there was a $1 million grant before that. I want this grant. Why would I stop now? I want our kids to have the best facilities we can afford. But I want everything to be above board, out in the open, and without the taint of political corruption that unfortunately has not marred, our town because of the actions of a single politically motivated individual looking out for, in my opinion, what was his best interests. This goes much deeper than a $1 million grant that the former chairman planned and arranged for, in my opinion. First, the total cost of the project is going to be at least $5 million, and that is old pre-inflation figures. Second, we do not know if engineering costs are included, and they could be an additional $500,000.
I found that out, Mayor. Currently, we have paid $250,000. It's 15% of the total cost, and currently we have already paid $250,000. I found out that info by simply asking Jay.
Oh, was that paid through tax dollars or through the grants that were awarded?
Tax dollars have already paid for $250,000 in engineering plans.
So your tax dollars have already paid for how much again, Ms. Marr? Thank you for getting that information. I'm sure our taxpayers would like to know that. Go ahead again. How much?
$250,000.
$250,000 of your tax money has already been spent on a field or fields or these upgrades that we still don't have even $2.5 million for yet, and we know it's going to be about $5 million. So that goes in line then with the cost. If you do the simple math, we could be reaching of approximately $500,000 in engineering costs as well. Thank you, I appreciate that. And we don't know if there are any other strings attached to this. Yes. But this does go deeper. I apologize. This is not pontification. I just want everybody to understand the reason for my concern at the last meeting. And then I'll give you some more information I found out within the last 72 hours and in certain circumstances in the last 20 minutes. But this goes deeper. Let's not forget this. This project was planned, again, I'll say in my opinion, by the former chairman. In that case, I'm pretty confident. His original plan was for it to solely be for his organization, the Saraville AA. We like to say that a $5 million project is just for the kids, but is it really? Or was there more involved? That once all-powerful individual dealt with engineers on the specifics and talked with state legislators to line up money. This is not my belief. He stood here and told us that at a meeting, a public meeting, that you can watch just by going through our council meetings that are posted online. Similar, well, I'll hold off on that. He announced that we were getting it at a council meeting, and he actually announced it on the Saraville Athletic Association's social media page. Many of you saw that. I see at least one person, Mr. Corby. I know you saw it. And I know you heard it, because if I were you, I would have been very upset as well, as somebody in the opposing organization. And I shouldn't say opposing, that's not the right word. That's still under investigation, by the way the other grants were handled. The promise that these new fields would be built for the Saraville AA long before any grant was officially approved by the governing body was the reason that the Board of Education crazily thought that they could build a bus depot where the current Saraville AA complex is in Morgan. That was actually stated, I believe, at a Board of Education meeting. You could look that up, too, to confirm. To this day, no one knows the secret dealings that may have went on with the chairman, the Saraville AA president, and the BOE leadership surrounding that poorly thought out, failed plan that would have wreaked havoc on the people of Morgan. But thank God, the people got involved and forced the board to scuttle that absurd plan. Mr. Balca, he was one of the Board of Education members with the wisdom to vote against this plan from the very beginning. He did. But unfortunately, we may not have learned too much from that sorry experience. We all remembered how shocked we were when just a few months ago, when we were discussing the first $1.5 million grant, when the disgraced chairman stood at that podium and told us that there was another $1 million grant in the works that he arranged. These are his, this was him. You could check it. We looked at one another in confusion as it became clear who was calling the shots and for whose benefit. It wasn't the mayor and the council calling the shots, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't for the primary benefit of the kids of Saraville. I'm not even going to get into the original $500,000 grant that came before my desk prior to proper protocols and procedures. It was concerning, and I was uncomfortable with signing that as well because of the way that process broke down. Let's not forget that everything, unfortunately now, that Mr. Palando was involved in is still under investigation by the county prosecutor's office and maybe even a host of state agencies. The audit of things, including the Sayreville AA, hasn't even begun yet, and we can only imagine what those results may yield. If there was ever a time to proceed cautiously, it's now. Further complicating things, Councilman Conti has taken over for the former chair and is now the president of the Sayreville AA. Vince, to your credit, as I mentioned at the last meeting, has admitted to me that he was misled by the former chair in his double dealings on this project. And as I said last meeting, I respect him for that. Michelle, you too admitted to having been deceived on this, the last meeting. I'm sure Vince now wants to avoid even the appearance of a conflict and may recuse himself from any further discussions and vote on this matter because of his leadership of the Sayreville AA and a potential conflict. We're still involved in a lawsuit right now, and who knows what that outcome will be or how much it will cost the taxpayer because the former chairman wanted the Sayreville AA to take over a soccer league. Yes, we're still in that litigation. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all paying for so many things that this man has done, and we can't afford to go deeper into that abyss without doing our due diligence. Some of either party may continue to fall in line, but I have long ago rejected that thinking. I know it's election season and people want to say that they're getting things done, but it would be malfeasance of us as elected officials to not carefully review and question everything related to what has been going on. And make no mistake, this entire project that we're now talking about was originally designed to benefit one organization, in my opinion, and based on the information I've shared with you. It would have been the exclusion of other organizations here until I really got into an argument and put a stop to it. Jay can attest to that. He was in the meeting that he was having with Vince. I wasn't invited to that meeting. I happened to walk past and saw them all and saw Vince and Jay in the room over there. I happened to stop in. It was like looking at the cat that ain't the canary at a certain point. But again, I'm very, very grateful for Vince for having sent me that apology and realizing how he had been duped. Michelle, your comments at the last meeting support that. You're angry, and I don't blame you.
And I'm equally disappointed that I did not hear from either of you after that meeting.
Me? Why would you hear from me?
We're spending.
You knew, excuse me?
Okay.
Well, actually, I'll finish
Knew that
this.
I would have been upset about that, but I was purposely left out of that conversation.
Yep. Moving on. And this is not just about athletics. We get calls every day from concerned residents about Cheesequake Road and other things, and I'm concerned. I'm concerned about those projects, and that's why we have called for, and the council supported, further investigations into all dealings regarding the redevelopment agency and other projects. If we were really to talk about Cheesequake Road, what I would really love to see is a $5 million grant in order to get that road built. I was not comfortable with that plan. I spoke with 8 members from the redevelopment agency and said that it shouldn't move forward unless that road was built. We'll never know if it's going to get built at this point. But if we want to look at for a grant, that's where we need $5 million. There is a reason that the mayor's signature is required on this particular grant. There is a reason. It's because someone needs to be held accountable if this is wrong. I step up to my responsibilities. I will be held accountable, but only after we have done our due diligence and know exactly what we're getting into. To not ask the questions that I have asked would be irresponsible and a dereliction of my office. I know that's not a popular position, but I was elected to make tough decisions, not to win a popularity contest. Ladies and gentlemen, be mindful of the problems that we have gotten ourselves into because people so willingly, without questioning, said yes to many things. I want this grant, and I want more grants. but I want to make sure it is above board, that we know exactly what it will cost and who is really benefiting, and that everything is done in the sunlight with all the cards on the table. And going forward, no political leader of either party will call the shots and make decisions that the people on this dais were elected to make. Now, I have found out some interesting information in the last 24, 48 hours. But one of the most interesting ones came before me about 5 minutes before this meeting. First, I had gone back and forth with the attorney regarding whether or not this grant application was already submitted. If you remember at the council meeting, the resolution stated that we needed to vote on the approval of submitting this grant. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the grant was already submitted. So why are you asking for approval for something to be submitted when it was already submitted? Then, today, there was additional communications. And there was what I think was a cover-up. At least it appeared that way to me. Where it was, oh no, it's just the DCA form that needed to accompany the application that needs to be signed off on. And then it was told to me, and the good news is, Mayor, you don't have to sign off on that. Oh, okay, that's good. Because this stinks. This smells real bad. This smells rotten. So I was on the phone with the attorney, like I said, 20 minutes before, and we went back and forth with a couple of things. And then he did state that both the DCA form and the grant application submittal should have been done in conjunction. He didn't know why it wasn't done that way. That was a concern.
Mayor, if I could.
Yeah, no, I know what you're going. I'm looking forward to it.
So, Mayor, if you could, so the resolution that was discussed at last meeting would have accompanied the application that was filed on Friday. The woman from DCA, Ms. Underwood, indicated that the resolution needed to be, at some point in time before the execution of any grant, had to be submitted prior to the execution. So I think this evening's purpose of this evening, and this is the resolution 2022-267, is to indicate the support for the submission of the grant application for 2023. You do not know if you will receive this grant, but this resolution supports the grant that was filed on Friday.
Okay.
Now,
No, I'm excited that you said that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to put on the record?
no, the resolution that was prepared is the form resolution that DCA provided to us.
I'm grateful that you put that on the record.
Okay.
So just correct me if I'm wrong in what you stated. So according to Ms. Underwood, when you had communications with her and emails back and forth, she stated that the grant was actually submitted on Friday the 14th. Is that correct?
She confirms in an email that the
Is it the one for February 2022 and June 2021?
It's Denise, maybe you can clarify their email that you got on October 13th. You got it at 2:48, and it says, "Hi Denise, sorry for the delay." So maybe you could
Is
clarify.
this the one that says the business administrator or CFO can sign the application?
No, Denise, this is the email that you received at 2:48 indicating, no,
Yeah, the one today is the one I was talking
this is
about.
October
You
13th.
see what happens when you send stuff the day of a meeting, but that's okay.
No, wait.
The application
Matter
deadline
anyway.
is tomorrow, 10/14/2022, for the fiscal year 23 legislative grant for the jury of certification. I do not need a signed resolution for the application. I will need the certified resolution prior to going to contract. As long as the contract, I apologize, as long as the grant is executed Prior to June 30th, 23, the money will be secured. I would prefer not to have to wait until June to receive a resolution. Thanks, Jen.
So we had until June to do this. We have until June, but I'm not done yet. So correct me if I'm wrong, because I really need the public to hear this. So, based on Mike and Denise's statements, according to the grant underwriter, or the grant writer, I shouldn't say underwriter, Miss Underwood.
Ms. Underwood is from DCA.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who was it? Who was? Oh, Gunderman. Thank you. Stephanie Gunderman. Okay, so this is from the grant writer, Stephanie Gunderman. The grant writer, Stephanie Gunderman, stated that the application needed to be submitted by October 14th. But the accompanying documents did not need to be signed until 2023.
This was received from DCA.
Okay, October 13th. All I need to do is, this is what I need. I'm not going to beat around the bush. When was the grant submitted? The 13th, correct?
On
The 14th it was submitted, okay?
I signed off
On the 13th?
On the 13th.
Okay. Denise signed off on the application on the 13th. It was sent out on the 14th of October. Yet, explain this to me. Sunday, September 18th, 2022 at 5:01. Good morning, Denise, our CFO and BA. I hope this note finds you well. The fiscal year 23 legislative grant, that would be this grant, correct? That's this grant? That's this grant. That's this grant.
Right.
The Jerry Us recreational application is ready for you and Sage. I have initiated the application and added you and Dan to the application. Wait a minute. I thought we just heard that the application was submitted on the 14th. But according to this, it was September 18th that it was submitted.
Mayor, when I spoke with the grant writer, there's various,
18th. It was created by DCA.
Oh, okay.
For us to fill out the paperwork.
Okay.
Submitted the form.
So
when I
let's
reached out,
continue.
Mayor, when I reached
If
out to the
if I
grant
can
writer, I'm
finish it.
trying to help clarify
No,
add
I just wanna-
transparency. No,
I
this
just-
might help. This might help. When I talked to the grant writer,
just wanna
she
read
said
the
that it
email.
happens in stages.
Oh.
And it sounds like you're having trouble understanding it. So when I spoke
Well,
to
I
the grant
probably am
writer,
because I can't
she said
finish my
the application
reading.
process happens in stages.
Okay, so that didn't clarify anything.
I can read the email for you that she
I'm going to finish the email that was sent on September 18th and that I spoke to Denise about. You will see it in your task tree when you log into Green Sage. For your reference, the application number is 2023-05258-0248. The budget amount is $1 million, and the application due date is, in fact, 10/14. When the grant is executed, the grant term will be from 7/1/22 to 6/30/22, and I will process in advance for 50% of the total grant allocation. If you have any questions, please let me know. This is back on the 18th, and then I believe that Councilwoman Anoha and Councilwoman Juneforth received an email stating that this money, or at least alludes to the fact that this money is already earmarked to come here? Is that what that email states? No, I think Councilwoman Juneforth, you had shown me an email just that was received, within 24 to 48 hours?
Oh, is it the one that Council President spoke to Senator Vitale's office about?
Yes.
Okay. She
That was from her conversations with the office, those conversations led to them committing to the funds. This is the same office that previously communicated to us that they will not release any funds under certain conditions.
So this was
But
committed.
those are still private conversations that she now, was gracious enough to fill us in on the details of. But
So
nothing
you
that was
shared
mentioned
that this
publicly.
money is coming to us.
Yes, I did a great amount of research.
So she didn't mention
And
this
did anyone
publicly.
else call Senator Vitale's office or speak with Assemblywoman Lopez?
One moment. From the standpoint of
Okay, no.
public discord as a government, she has been, very quiet since then. The most, I mean, as far as I've been around or available in our meetings, and now the behind the scenes information, if you will, and sometimes we can get the behind the information when they feel free to let us know. And recently she did let us know in an email that from her private conversation, she was able to get that commitment from them.
Yes, I was sharing every
So-
single piece of information I
So to
learned
answer
with
your
all
question,
of you.
so to answer her
Correct.
previous question as to whether we have made such phone calls, to answer that point, there has been many meetings like our committee, which has had joint push to see how we can secure funds. We have met with
Excuse me,
financial.
if you
we have
talk
met
in the
with-
audience, we can't hear up here.
And our, the mayor, again, with your authority in that office, created a committee for us to work together.
I can't hear Councilman Anoha.
Again, from my understanding of government, right, in your capacity in the creating of the committee, as a joint team, we were able to work with our financial professionals to look into many ways in which we can secure the funds, up to $5 million, to see how we can get this done for our residents, right? Now, of course, if some of our politicians can be zealous to go behind the scenes based on certain relationships that they may have through politics, I can understand how that works. And if they fill us in on those details, that's good. However, that is not something that has been mentioned to the public. And I'm glad that she, admitted to that. So however, but in terms of our reaching
You're
out,
welcome for sharing what I found out.
This is something that we pushed as a committee, and we had many stonewalls because of our political friend here that has been recently in the news.
So you're able to confirm, and I'm grateful that you reached out to Senator Vitale and whomever else. So you got confirmation for us that we are getting that $1 million.
So with their conversation with
Timely
our
conversation, by the way.
legislators' offices, and they were at Cerevel Day. They also said that Councilwoman Roberts called them as well to do her due diligence
After
on
the
this
arrest,
matter.
sure.
And they said that this is how projects are funded. The Thomas Mundy Peterson Field in Perth Amboy, the South Amboy Fields, the ferries. Every year, state legislators assign appropriate money in their line item budgets. And last year, I have the dates from our meetings on
You didn't make any phone calls since then, though.
You asked me to explain.
Wait.
I'm
Let me.
explaining. I have nothing to hide. Everything is transparent.
No,
I'm happy to share.
I just want to hear what she has to say. I want to hear what Michelle has to say. So did you speak to Assemblywoman Lopez and
Juan Carlos, and everyone has confirmed that they have worked with our grant writer and that they have worked with our recreation advisor. I have emails from them. I have done.
I just
all
want to
of
know
the
if we're getting the
research for
grant,
everyone.
Michelle.
Do we know that? We thought we were getting Bailey's Park grant, right?
I'm just
Yes, if you sign the grant, we are getting that money. And they had even said that there's possibly more money to come. They fully intend, but we know with Bailey Park that could come and go, and that's not a definite. But they intend, that is their intent, but we're only talking about the $1 million.
That's what I'm talking about.
If you sign, we will receive.
Well, I don't have to.
Council President, I actually have a question, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you get this in writing for us?
How much more can I do for you? How much more research can I do for you?
It's not supposed to be
regarding
attacking.
research-
You're not supposed to be
Wait,
attacking me. All I'm just saying,
I want this to continue.
all I'm just saying to you, for your own protection and for the future's sake,
protection? No.
it's to have it in writing.
We have 0
Because this is just-
evidence. I
this is
send
just he
everything
said,
in
she
writing.
said.
We have 0
Cheap as
evidence of
talking is
any
cheap.
of our past grants.
Anybody can say they'll
Show
do
me
it and
the
they won't do
evidence.
it.
Show me the evidence that you want to
asking
turn down a
you,
$1 million
asking.
grant with no evidence.
Exactly.
No. We can't have any.
Something of value to say.
I just want. Okay, so
just argue
Councilwoman
for
Marr.
arguing's sake.
Councilwoman
And
Marr.
it's even to favor her.
Councilwoman Marr.
Favor me? I don't care if we put a parking lot there. Why would you turn down $1 million
I didn't say
grant?
we're turning it down. I said have them putting in writing for us. simple.
That
Well,
is what our grant writer is for. We hire
Okay,
professionals.
stop. First of all,
doesn't
I really
listen.
think that it's completely inappropriate for Councilwoman Moore to talk about turning down a grant. We're nowhere near that process right now. The grant itself, right now we're talking about an application, which for the record seems a little suspect with the process. The process is suspect when it comes, excuse me, just one second. This is where my concern is. Up until hours ago, this council was still receiving information from the grant writer. That's problematic.
Because I reached out and requested it, Mayor.
Well, that's even more concerning.
They didn't know there was a problem.
Oh.
They thought everything was fine.
Excuse me. If you could let me finish, I made certain that I stopped Councilwoman June 4. You wanted your time. That's concerning when I specifically said at the last meeting I wanted all information prior to this special meeting. And we received information hours before. That's problematic. Because again, this isn't about whether or not we want this grant. It's the process that it's being done. Because there's implications to all of this. We cannot deny who started this. We cannot deny the problems that this process had. And we have to protect the entire borough. We have an investigation going on. And yes, it may look like you're getting money, which is great. But how you get that money is the issue. Our CFO, and I don't know, Denise, if you have to sign this for every grant, our CFO has to sign off on here. From the application of certification regarding lobbying, it's a 2-page long document. If you sign off on something that was being handled through coercion or any other types of million lists, it's 2 pages here. That if anything is found to be wrong with this grant or the way that the process went down, she's going to jail. She's going to jail.
And we have no evidence of prior mistakes with grants.
This isn't about one grant. You're trying to sidestep the bigger problem here. And you had a man stand here months ago tell us we were getting this grant months ago and that he worked it out. That's concerning. But Michelle, for the record, because I didn't hear, because there was too much talking, and that's great. You reached out to, again, Senator Vitale. People probably don't know who Dan Harris is. Dan Harris is Yvonne Lopez's chief of staff, in essence. So you reached out to him. You reached out to who? Juan Carlos. I'm sorry, Dan Harris is Craig Coughlin's chief of staff. And were you able to get them to confirm that, yes, that money is now earmarked for Jerry S. Fields?
They were intending on coming to the meeting tonight, but because it was not hybrid, they were not attending.
Okay.
Yes, I did. I spoke with them, and they confirmed.
And they confirmed that they are going to give us the $1 million.
Correct.
Correct. And they said that to you at Saraville Day or whenever you contacted them?
Both.
Both Saraville Day and when you contacted them. Ladies and gentlemen, Houston, we have a problem. We have a problem because this application, I believe, can be applied for from other towns as well and other people. And the application, according to what you heard up here, was only supposedly submitted on the 14th, and now we already have confirmation that that money is coming here. The application hasn't even been processed because the DCA is saying that they won't process anything unless the application is formally submitted.
With the resolution.
With the resolution. And yet the council president...
We are also being advised by our grant writer, our professional grant writer who does this for a living.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm concerned about what we just heard. Our CFO, Ms. Bianca Mano, I hope that when you check your certification, that this doesn't cause any issue for you. I'm concerned because you have the councilwoman, the council president, has just admitted to you that she has had private conversations and now put them on the record
Denise has been on the emails.
with Craig Coughlin, not with Craig Coughlin, with Senator Vitale's office, Chief of Staff of Yvonne Lopez's office, that we are in fact getting this grant. That's wonderful. That's great. I'm thrilled about that. But now I'm concerned that we may have a major legal issue right here. And this is why I wanted all of the I's dotted and all of the T's crossed. Now you know why I was concerned about putting my name on this. But I am relieved.
Mayor, I
am relieved. Excuse me.
I highly doubt they would advise me to share this information if it was illegal.
Councilwoman Marr, I did not interject when you were speaking. As a matter of fact, I even gave you the floor so you could get everything out you wanted to say. As I was saying, I am relieved as the mayor because I don't have to sign off on this resolution. This is solely at the discretion of the council. The council president can sign off on this. I don't have to worry about this, and I'm certain it will become part of investigation. I don't have to worry about this until the grant is actually formally received, or granted, I should say. And then I have until June of 2023 to get legal consult for my protection and the borough's protection. Because I'm not going to jail for $1 million over a field if it wasn't done the right way. And this borough should not have to pay millions of dollars in legal costs because of a $1 million grant that wasn't done the right way. So I'm done. I have nothing more to add. I have put out everything that I know. So at this time, in following with our appropriate special meeting, I'll defer over to the attorney. Do we have need for executive session?
No, the only issue is next is to pass 2022.
We have to open to the public first.
We haven't finished it yet, right? So the issue is you have to open to the public, and then you still have the right to make a motion to pass the 2022-267.
And remember, I also have concern about the, and there is no, thank you, Mike, no need for exec, but I also do have concern even about the advertising of this meeting. We are not in a hybrid forum, which by law, apparently we don't need to be, but I think that poses a problem. But I'm also concerned about the agenda, and I appreciate that the attorney stated that we could move forward even though it wasn't posted online. But these are things that we have fought for with transparency. I think that this room would have been a little bit more filled had that agenda gone out. But it's neither here nor there. If the attorney turns around and says it's good to go, it's good to go. At this time, I'll open to the public. I have said my piece. Like I said, I just want transparency. I want to make sure the process was done appropriately. And I do have concerns. I want the fields. And I don't want them away from us. And I don't want them costing us more than the $5 million estimated cost. And I believe that we can get them, but it's got to be done the right way. It's got to be done above board. All right, with that, anybody from the public? Come on up. Come on up, sir.
How's it going? Eric Cutts.
Yeah, go ahead.
23 Madison Street, Morgan, New Jersey. So I was there, Mayor, for the Board of Ed meetings and fighting for the fields in Morgan. Listening to this here, I think you guys should all watch that meeting that we got Slover School taken off the Board of Ed's agenda. I'm saying that from the decorum standpoint from all you guys up here and watching it on the website. I did watch the last meeting, and I am also up here as an executive board member of Saraville AA. I did send out a letter to this entire group on Monday, and that's in accordance with Bob from Saraville Little League, and I know he'll come up here and talk for himself. From the sounds of it, it sounds like we have $1.5 million for the Jerry S. complex. It sounds like we will not be getting any more money based on what I heard tonight. I hope we can come to a resolution and that we can get the mayor's signature on that for that $1 million. I know the entire fields are supposed to cost $5 million, and I don't think you guys are going to be able to get that $5 million. I spoke with Vincent, and it was of my opinion since the start that we did not need new fields down there at the Jerry S. complex. And that goes to Tom, too. I spoke to Tom, and I didn't think we needed fields down there. I think we need in this town, and we can use those funds that are set aside for the Jerry S. complex for a mixed-use building, a multi-use sports building that this town very well needs for the winter. It can be used by all sports, both male, female, across the board for the high school, the middle school, Saraville AA, Saraville Little League, and anybody that would like to rent it out. I believe this building wouldn't need the $5 million. It would probably need the 2.5 though. So it would probably need that extra million. And the town could make money off of this building. It is very well needed. Now, from the other standpoint, the Board of Ed owned the fields at Morgan, which I understand the council didn't have any oversight over. And now the board does own those fields. And from the standpoint of Saraville Little League and having a meeting with Bob, we believe that those fields, Saraville Little League and the Saraville AA fields down in Morgan, can take all the kids in Saraville and be used for the kids in Saraville. We look forward to working with the council and making sure that we can secure future grants for our fields in the heart of Saraville and in the Morgan district that I personally fought for. And that was as a Saraville AA board member. I was the one there representing Saraville AA, and I'm here tonight in the wake that Vincent's on the council board. So that's my take. I hope we can work better in the future, not talk over people, and show this town that we can work together over our political differences.
Those are some really good ideas. That's nice that I liked those ideas. That was some of the discussions with Councilman Anoha, myself, and Michelle about the actual recreation complex. It's actually more of a community center complex, and there was a lot of discussions about having that indoor facility. That was what I was really hoping to see happen for exactly the same reasons that you mentioned. But I'm glad to hear that both organizations are talking and working together. That's excellent. That's really excellent. You bring up some very good points. I will say this, though. Councilwoman Marr said the $1 million is apparently coming here, but I like the idea of maybe appropriating it for something else, but I don't know what the legalities are when you submit something with the specific line. I'm not sure.
It can't move locations.
So that's something
No,
else.
I'm not saying it moved locations, staying at the Jerry S. site. But my understanding from Michelle was the $1 million is appropriated for us for the grant.
For Jerry S.
If you do not sign it, we won't get it.
Correct.
Well,
That's
but that's
pretty
not
easy to
until June.
understand.
Correct.
Well, but what I did say was this. They don't need me to sign this document tonight. This is on them. They sign that.
That's fine, but
And-
it doesn't sound like you are going to sign it no matter what.
No,
It's
that's
the way that you're coming
actually not
across.
what I said. If you listen to my opening statement.
Will you commit to signing it, Mayor?
Excuse me.
Will you commit to signing it?
I think you had asked for people not to talk over one another. I've been asking that. I made it very
Maybe someone else will
clear.
ask that.
Are you done? Okay. I made it very clear. The only thing that stops me from signing this is the legalities attached to it. I have serious concerns that I put on the record to all of you, and I'm not going to jail for this. And I have until 2023 or before to turn around, have attorneys, have investigations, and so forth, to make certain that this grant was acquired appropriately. I am not going to lie to you. I'm concerned about the council president's latest statements. She admitted here publicly that she has had private conversations with 2 elected officials that control these monies. I will be asking to make certain that that does not turn around and end up becoming something that is considered illegal or unethical. Because I'm not putting my name on something now having heard that. That now makes us all culpable. So I have to protect the borough, but also myself. I'm not going to, and make no mistake, the reason why a name has to go on that receiving end of the grant is because somebody has to be held accountable. Just like Denise now has to be held accountable under this schedule, which you can look at, you can make copies of it. This is what she has to assert and what I will have to assert, that there was no improprieties, that there was no, let's see, I'm trying to look at a few of these over here. There was no, this is the first one, this is letter A. No grant funds awarded from the state and/or federal appropriations have been paid or will be paid by or on behalf of the grantee to any person for influencing or attempting to influence an officer or an employee of the agency, a member of Congress, an officer and employee of Congress, or an employee or member of Congress in connection with the making of any grant and the making of any loan. The entering into any cooperative agreement and the extension, continuation, renewal, amendment, or modification of any grant, loan, or cooperative agreement. And then there's a list of 3 others that are equally legal and long, which I do not pretend to understand. And then there's a page 2 with additional certifications. Would you be comfortable signing off on that? I don't know if you would.
If me personally, in my opinion, understanding that grants have to go through legal writers and have to be checked off at not only the county level but the state level then. So that's multiple levels of auditing being done on these grants. I would be comfortable putting my name on it.
You're a braver person than me.
It's also my opinion as a resident, and listening to both last meeting and this meeting, that I feel as a resident, you will never sign this.
I will, as long as it is proven to me.
Yeah, I know.
I've signed,
saying,
you do realize.
I'm just saying it's my opinion based off of the last 2 meetings, the way that you're coming off to the crowd and also, the group. It doesn't sound like you will sign this.
I will not sign something that is not legal. But as Councilman Anoa just said, the $1 million grant that we already have and the no, you're wrong. There's a $1 million grant that we have, and then we received a $500,000 grant.
Okay, yeah.
So they're 2 separate ones. Mm-hmm. Why do you have them? Because I signed them.
Sure.
So I
it doesn't sound like you're going to sign them. It's
no,
just
they're
my
signed
opinion.
already. No, you don't understand, sir.
The essence of it is
They're
Going forward.
No. Again,
Yes.
we received a $1 million grant and a $500,000 grant, okay? Because I feel that they were appropriate, and I did not know of any improprieties that would have caused me or the town legal jeopardy that I was aware of. I was able to sign off on that because I was not in the know of anything that I'm in the know of right now.
Understand.
So that's $1.5 million between 2 grants that I signed. The only reason why this $1 million is now problematic for me is because of all of the things that I put on the record. Now, if those things can be cleared, and I can have attorneys, DCA, federal agents, state prosecutors, and other state agencies that are looking into these matters say that these are safe to sign on, no problem. But until I get that, today is my daughter's birthday. Happy birthday, Addison. I am here today because this is important to me. But I have 2 young daughters that need their mommy.
Me too.
And I am not going to turn around and put my family's life and my life in jeopardy because I am now concerned about what I'm hearing.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. And thank you for your service in the AA, because I know you've done a lot to reshape it. It's good work. Next. Come on up, Bob.
Robert Corby, 6 Evelyn, right, Jess? Denise, do you know how to make a shiv?
I'm sorry?
Do you know how to make a shiv if you're going to prison? A couple things I want on the record. Beginning of the summer, I was contacted by Dan Frankel, the former business administrator, to attend a meeting with Tom Palando to discuss any type of improvements that we needed or wanted in our facility. We met over at CME. Jay was there and David Samuel was there. We both kind of gave him a laundry list of things. Then David and his team at CMA went back, formulated a plan. Apparently there was a grant or some sort of request made to the county, not the state, the county. And it gave AA and Little League both lights on 3 fields, 1 field turfed, dugouts improved. There was just a whole laundry list of things. I want this out there because if this money ever comes through and somebody has to sign off on it, it's out there. And as far as I can tell, the meeting and everything's above board. Okay? So if that money comes through, I would like it not to be held up in this type of discussion.
We voted on engineering plans at one meeting. We voted to approve $5,000 for engineering plans.
Okay. I'm just, because I think the total amount was, I think 5.4 between the 2 facilities. So that's a lot. I don't know if we're ever going to see it, but if it comes through, I don't want it held up. So let me see if I can summarize where we are and ask a couple questions. We have 1 grant already signed for $500,000. We have another grant signed for $1 million. That money we received?
Denise?
We received, I think we received about $1 million so far. I'm not 100% sure. I have to check my records.
Okay, and then there's another $1 million on the table.
That's what we're currently discussing.
We still haven't gotten the $500,000? Do we know? Wait, you can't talk yet. You can't come because we can't hear you.
I'll have to check my records and get back to you. I don't recall.
Because that one's, the $500,000, was that the most recent one or was that the first?
Right, the $1 million came first, and I believe
It was the half-
received $500,000 of the mill, and I don't know that we've received anything on the 500 yet. I will just double check that and send everyone an email tomorrow.
Okay,
Okay.
so bottom line,
But they were signed off on, so the money.
we're getting $1 million. We've got approved for $1.5 million, and now we're discussing another $1 million for a job that is at least $5 million.
Yeah.
So, do we have a plan if we don't get another dime from the state?
We can change the plans.
Okay. Are the current plans anywhere online for anybody to see?
Are the current plans online, Jay? Can anybody see them? No, it's just what was discussed.
Provided the council with
The council sees it.
concept plan, but there's 40 sheets of plans that go along with the project. That's not online.
And it's up to the council to decide that. That doesn't have to go through any of our boards or anything like that.
Conceptually, it was presented to the planning board, and the planning board signed off.
Right, but I mean, outside of that, what would be the next process?
It's up to
If-
the council to authorize.
To author, that's what I mean, yeah, so it would have to come here first. And then, Mary, because you and Denise worked very carefully on the budget, and I don't recall this, I don't think it was put in as a line item anywhere, and I don't believe that it would fall under current recreation projects, because obviously it wasn't in there yet. It hasn't been gotten that far. But no money's been appropriated through other than the engineering costs. What did you say the price was on that? It was, I forget.
$250,000.
250,000, what was it?
250,000.
250,000 has already been paid out
Yes.
for specs and design. So 250,000 was already paid out through tax dollars, but there's nothing currently in the budget to actually construct the $5 million plan. That's what you're asking, right, Bob?
Yeah.
Basically.
There were 2 Chapter 159s done back in June to set these in place. So these are currently in,
The grants?
yes, the
The grants.
1 million and the 500,000.
Okay. Thanks, Denise.
You're welcome.
I'm just wondering if after this gets signed, we're only halfway to the goal of what we thought was the goal, because,
Yeah.
as you said, inflation costs
No engineering costs, I don't believe, were included in that. The 5.4, does that, or we'll say 5 million for now, because I didn't realize it was 5.4 when you spoke, Bob. I was just going with the 5 million.
wait a minute, you're talking about our
Yeah, when you had your discussions.
request for the county it was 2.7 for each facility.
For each facility. And is that inclusive of engineering costs, or no? That was just for the,
There were cost estimates of the proposed improvements. It did not include engineering costs.
right. And on a project like that, engineering costs, was I accurate at least with about $500,000?
About 15%, right?
15%, yeah.
Approximately between design and construction.
Yeah, okay. So then you're looking at almost, possibly closer to 6, yeah. Yeah.
All right, so if the current plan, as I understand it, is to have one 60-90 field and one 200-foot field, plus a parking lot and lights for both fields, and lights on the parking lot?
One is a 280-foot softball field that could be utilized for baseball with a portable mound, different base paths.
Right.
It's similar to the field that's there, that same dimensions. The other is a 300-foot baseball field, similar to what you have at the lower field in Morgan, and approximately 240 parking places, turf fields, lights, retaining walls, all the infrastructure to go along with that.
Okay, so we basically should come up with a plan if we don't get another dollar after $2.5 million. Because we can only use it on that grounds.
My understanding from previous grants that when you turn around and do that application process, that's why they're specific with having to put in there exactly what you're doing this for. And I had to actually sign off as the mayor to authorize that these improvements were necessary and would be of value to our community for our youth sports. So it's not allowed to turn around and reappropriate. I guess it's because of whatever line items they take from the different state levels. So it's not an easy flip of projects. I don't think, yeah.
I totally get it, because
Yeah.
Lord knows what people would do with money and how it would be reappropriated.
Absolutely.
So, but it has to be spent on that complex. Whether it's turfing the field that's there, I don't know if it's only two. If we only wind up getting $2.5 million.
I would have to double check, Bob, because they were pretty specific from what I saw in that application process that it was for these improvements. That's what I had to sign off on with the first 2 grants, was that it would be for these specific improvements.
Those specific fields.
Well, the improvements that were listed on the grant, so what it was put in on.
So we got an
This is just for the $1 million grant that he's talking on.
We got an email from the Parks and Rec director. It says that the thought by organization to reallocate state grant funds to existing complexes cannot be done, as grant funds are generally awarded for specific projects and cannot be transferred.
So, Bob, to my knowledge, we also submitted for county grants for the meeting that you're talking about with AA.
That's what I said. That's why I wanted it on record. I wasn't sure whether the entire council was aware that we had this meeting, especially since, Tom was involved in the meeting. I didn't want that to come up at a future date.
I'm glad you put that, because I didn't know that the Little League and the AA came together collectively.
Nor did I.
I did not know that. but thank
Until
you.
after the fact.
Which meeting are you talking about?
I did not know it until
The meeting
the-
with CME or the meeting that we just had like last week?
I didn't know about either of them.
The meeting last week, I reached out to Vince, just to put everything out there. I reached out to Vince once he was named the president of the AA. I offered my condolences, and I asked him if there was anything he needed, if he wanted to sit down and talk, and da-da-da-da-da. And he said, let me get my bearings, let me get my feet under me. And he reached out to me about a week later. We met last week at the Little League Clubhouse and just basically chewed the fat. How do you do this? How do you do that? You know, this is what we do. This is that kind of stuff. I didn't realize, you know, rec liaisons had to be invited. So the next time there's a meeting, I will invite you.
Yeah, I didn't know about that one, but I didn't know about the one before that either.
Well, that's why I
Yeah.
mentioned it.
How long
I think the
ago was
rec
that, Bob?
director should attend.
How long ago was
Rec
that, Bob?
director now. It's a big rec meeting.
I haven't
seen that guy.
I have an
I haven't seen
email.
that guy at a meeting all
I
summer.
agree. I agree.
When was the meeting with, do you remember
With
how far
CME.
back?
It was
CME?
like late June or mid-June, late June.
Oh, just this past June? This past
Yeah.
one?
Franco coordinated the meeting, and
Okay.
then the application was submitted by Mr. Franco to the county.
Right.
We submitted, I think, July, so probably was about May, June that we met.
Yeah, I think it was sometime in June.
Okay, thanks, Bob, I didn't know that, thank
Well,
you.
that's why I'm putting it out there.
Got it. But glad you guys are meeting, like, you know, glad that you and Vince are meeting and stuff,
Yeah,
that's great.
you know, when Dan called, I was like, Little League is always willing to listen.
I know.
We're always willing to show up. We're always willing to listen. We're always willing to talk. You know, it's obviously other people, other organizations that like to keep stuff close to their vest, as we found out, you know, in the last couple of meetings here. I've been involved with Little League for 17 years and still will probably be involved for a few more years.
You
But
still have
it was-
hair, so you got to stay. You still have hair, so
Yeah.
you got to stay.
So it was I'm used to kind of getting hosed over by different organizations in town and the town in general. But for it actually to be admitted that this individual put through this and got grants and got field plans and all this other stuff and had the sole intent of leaving out the largest baseball organization in town, it's just, I don't know. One gut punch was, the football in town got a turf field, blue turf field, which I'm sure costs more money. And the soccer organization in town got 2 turf fields, and baseball got nothing. And then there was this one time where we were actually going to get something. There was going to be baseball fields provided. There was going to be baseball fields built. And we decided that we were just going to exclude Little League. So, we have sat down with AA. We did listen, that kind of stuff, but don't expect us to just hold hands and walk off into the sunset, because we've been hosed over again and again and again. I have no idea why. Maybe because years past there was nobody on Little League up on the council, and it was just that we were just ignored. But we shouldn't be ignored anymore. And unfortunately, obviously, to your theory of all of a sudden there was a plan for new AA fields, why would they need Why would they need new ones when they had 3 perfectly good fields? Why wouldn't you put a plan together to turf those fields or improve those fields? It would probably cost less than $5 million. Oh, then conveniently, it comes out 2 months later that, that's where we're going to put the bus depot. So somebody obviously had a knowledge of what was going on, what was going to happen, tried to make a plan, but the only thing he didn't take into account was that the neighbors of Morgan and the residents of Morgan were going to stand up and not let the bus depot be built there. Good for them. But now it's just sack the town with, we're going to put up baseball fields in a spot where there's no more, where there weren't baseball fields. We have 15 fields in town.
Oh, I know, I called for inventories, there's probably even some
And we've
more.
lost at least 4 or 5 over the last 3 or 4 years. We lost Melrose this year to cricket. We lost it to cricket in the middle of the season. I had a coach call me in May. Hey, they tore down the backstop and they pulled up the benches and they said they're making it a cricket field. I don't mind, but you can't do that in the middle of the season. I'm sure it wouldn't happen to AA, but it was Little League, so, what are they going to do? We lost that field. We lost St. Stan's Field a few years back because The junior Bombers needed a practice field, and they put up lights and ripped out the St. Stan's field. That was a beautiful little practice field for the smaller kids. I had kids practice there 2-3 years. Had a nice big tree, nice shade on hot days.
I didn't even realize that.
We lost that field. We lost Kennedy Park years ago, and now apparently they're going to put cricket there. This is fine. People, if cricket is becoming more popular, then fine, let cricket have fields. But it shouldn't come at the expense of baseball. And we're not even told.
Or softball. You have a girls' team too. You have
We have a girls' league.
And we have
And to say that there's a baseball field and a softball, you can use softball and baseball in the same field.
Yeah,
You just get a portable
you're the
mound.
one that brought it up here.
Yeah.
You did. I remember. Thank you.
It's to call something a baseball now. The 300-foot yard or the field.
Yeah,
That'll be tough for a softball, but you're going to get a lot of triples at inside the Parkers. But my point is, we're just tired of it. We really are. I mean, now we're going to be stuck. They're going to have to put fields over there. They're not in the middle of town. They're really on the outskirts of town. I used to practice at Mintech. There's another field we lost. But it's a pain in the butt to try to get all the way over there. So now you're going to have to drive all the way over to town. Little League is right in the middle of the town. AA is right in the middle of Morgan. I have no idea. Well, I do have an idea why he did what he did, but this is where we are now. I don't even know, to be quite honest, we did speak. I just don't know. Baseball and softball numbers have been falling. I mean, South Amboy got 3 shiny new turf fields. I think we'll be okay, but I don't know how much longer. If the Panthers and Leprechauns could come together and do one thing, I don't know why the town funds 2 baseball leagues, to be quite honest with you. Baseball and softball leagues. We do. But, obviously somebody was in charge over there for years and years and never wanted to do it. But, that may be
maybe a dawning of a new day.
Maybe.
So, anything else, Bob?
No, I think that's it. I think we really need to come up with a plan if we don't get all $5 million.
I agree with you. I think that is definitely, I mean, let's face it, I don't know of any others. We can only look at what we have on the table now. We know that's not close to it because, like we said, it's probably closer to 6 at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So I do think that that's the forward thinking that the council needs to take.
And, the turf fields not only could be for Little League, could be for AA, but this past year, the middle school added 2 teams for baseball, 2 teams for softball. I'm telling you, I coached and I had kids play on this field out here, the senior field. They've been on the internet. The 60-90 fields are horrendous. They're actually embarrassing. When I had a team in districts, we didn't play here. We asked Old Bridge to use their field. I asked South River to use their field because they had nicer fields. And I did not want other teams to come and play in this. I had a travel team play here, and the kids showed up from Homedale with like, "Oh, is this the field we're playing on, or is this just a practice field?" As we're lining the field. So, I think both middle school teams, softball and baseball, need a decent field to play on because they made some improvements to the international field with fencing and stuff like that, but nothing as far as the field's concerned. So.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay.
I appreciate your comments.
From day one, I've been fighting for Little League, and now I know why. I'm the only council person up here, Democratic council person, not part of the AA family, and it's not right, and I will call out when things are not fair between AA and Little League.
That's great, and I know that. I can't remember anybody from Little League. All the meetings I've sat in, we never said, "Oh, well, we got so-and-so on the council." It's just been that way. But I would still throw it out there that we're always looking, we could come together. If it doesn't, I talked to Vince, and he was telling me that they play in Spotswood, they play in Highland Park. I don't understand why kids from Sayreville need to go to other towns to play rec baseball. Travel's a whole different thing, but as far as rec baseball comes, why are we driving 20 minutes, a half hour out of the way just to play? But, if that's what that group of parents wants to do, then that's what they can do. But, okay, thank you.
All right, thanks. Anybody else? Name and address for the record, please.
Nancy Nordling, 52 Patton Drive. I have a question. You want to have this examined by a lawyer or a team of somebody audited, whatever? Do you have a plan?
Matter of fact, if you listen to the last meeting, the council authorized that RFPs go out and that we are going to have a fiscal auditor come in, attorneys come in.
When are they due back?
I don't, it's got to come up at the next meeting. Wait for it
There's a
to,
resolution that's been prepared and
for the next
submitted
meeting.
on the next agenda.
So,
if I could, I'll
3
continue.
months, 6 months?
That's really going to depend on what the council decides. I can't speak on that because that's up for a vote at the next meeting. That's when the discussion, we can't discuss something that's not on an agenda yet, so that reso will come out. But for me personally...
This is part of it.
No, it's not. This is part of a larger situation that is encompassing the Saraville AA. It will encompass the grants. It will encompass anything that was touched, in essence, by Mr. Palando. So that resolution, though, has to be voted on by the council as far as the RFPs and when that will come in. For my own purposes as the mayor, and again, this is depending on who you ask. We walked in here today thinking that tonight's meeting was just going to be to authorize the submitting of an application for this $1 million. Now, unbeknownst to me, so this was just to submit, and the council gets to vote on that, and they sign off on it. So this has nothing to do with me this evening.
Okay.
This has nothing to do with me, okay?
The original application was submitted on September 18th.
Well, there's some questions about that.
You read an email off about that.
No, I did.
Okay, so it was submitted.
That's the question of the day. Nobody.
Yes, we were granted the extension.
Oh, wait, that's more information. See, this is why I need to get into contact. So you're saying that we were granted the submission on the...
Do research?
I did.
Okay.
So I am doing my research. I'm finding out new stuff each time. And I appreciate you providing us with more information, including the fact you've already spoken to the elected officials that have to grant this, and they've already apparently...
To ask for the extension,
Yeah, but
to beg for the extension, because I couldn't believe that we got the agenda on a Thursday and
There was
people
no
didn't do their
extension.
research to be able to vote on it on Tuesday.
Really, because when you called for the council meeting, which was on Tuesday, Jess called me and informed me, in fact, that there was no reason for a special meeting, that in fact this didn't need to be signed immediately, that it could have been signed at the next council meeting. We didn't have to be here tonight. Right. And she actually put out, I guess, an email to the council asking if they wanted to continue to move forward with this special meeting. Is that correct, Jess?
Yes.
So we actually didn't need to have this special meeting.
Wait.
That's, your clerk just told you.
When I called for the meeting, the deadline was Friday the 14th. After that time, I was told that we were given we could have an extension, and that it really didn't have to be done. We could wait until the next meeting because we were granted the extension.
By whom?
Vicky?
No, by whom?
Was it Denise or Jessica told me that we didn't have to have it in by the 14th? Right.
We didn't have to have the resolution signed. The grant application still needed to be submitted by
Right.
October 14th.
Which it was.
And you submitted it
It's like a
without the
semi-submission.
resolution to submit.
And you can do that.
An incomplete submission pending till more documents are uploaded, I guess. Pending the resolution, right?
So they
However, there were
submitted-
changes to the resolution that you said you wanted to see before, the mayor said the resolution needs to be added to, has to be added to the grant application. And this resolution had additional changes that wasn't consistent with the previous two. And whether how major or minor, from my understanding, is from the grounds of...
So there were problems with the initial resolution?
No, No.
No,
No, I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh, go ahead. This is enlightening.
no. Every new application needs. Every application still needs a resolution.
Did everyone up here
So-
read the actual application?
Since then.
Yep,
And the cover that goes with it, that tells you everything you need to submit?
yep. Yeah.
You read it?
So this is why we're here today. So that's what we're clarifying for you.
Yeah.
We get it signed today. It's, from my understanding, it's added to the application.
Yeah.
But it still has not been signed as of yet.
So, do you see how your simple question doesn't have a simple answer? And this is why I was uncomfortable, because the attorney here said that the only way that that application could be submitted was with my signature. Now, come to find out, doesn't have to be my signature.
That's why I asked about the cover letter.
Right, but that's not what the attorney's interpretation was at the meeting. I don't know if you were here. Were you here at the last
I
meeting?
watched it online.
So if you listen to it, that
Oh, I
was
did.
asked.
I did, and
So
I'm
you were
actually embarrassed.
Oh, I was too. I was very embarrassed too, because again, there's a lot of problems here.
She's
A
willing
lot.
to attend the next meeting if it's hybrid.
So,
Tonight wasn't hybrid,
move-
but she's willing to attend.
So move it.
Professional company.
That's great. So at that meeting, I made it very clear that until I got the answers that I was asking for, which, by the way, some of them didn't come until today, until I got the answers in reference to this particular submitting of the grant, which this grant was submitted without that resolution, okay, which apparently is allowed, which is impressive, but that's fine. They can sign off on
It
it.
is. DCA will allow you to do partial submissions for all sorts of things.
That's great.
Because they're behind
Okay.
on everything they do. Do not wait until June 23rd, 2023
I
to do
will
this.
wait until the legal counsel that I employ, and I will wait until I have discussions with anybody else that's doing investigation into the dealings of Mr. Polando, say that it is a above-board process. That's what I'm waiting for. That's the other thing that makes this more
Can we
complicated.
make this a little more of a priority?
Everything's a priority. I find that insulting. Everything's a priority. Everything's a priority. And so is the investigation into this. But as I was saying, I will not sign off on anything that puts me or the town in legal jeopardy.
Which is why you should make it a priority.
What part of this are you having a difficult time with? I just said that everything is a priority. You can, listen,
The essence
I'm
of this
only
meeting.
allowed to ask you questions very specific to this resolution.
no.
Yeah, you
Well,
just said that.
No, what do you mean? I just said that.
Because this is the resolution and it's the open.
I have nothing to do with this resolution, ma'am. Do you understand that? This resolution has nothing to do with me. Right here,
Segment of this meeting. That's just-
this council is going to vote on this resolution and sign off on it, not me. It's that resolution you're signing off on a resolution to submit a grant that's already been submitted. That's what this is about. They're voting to submit a grant that's already been submitted, and that Council President Marr has already said is going to be given to us by the Assemblywoman and by Senator Vitale.
That was in that email also that she read off, so. it's-
But that's what I'm saying. This process right now that you're here for today is going to get voted on eventually by these individuals.
So,
With the end result of you signing the grant.
Now, here's where I have to contact an attorney of my own and of the boroughs, so I'll be contacting Mr. DuPont and others to make sure, first of all, that Councilwoman Marr's statement that she put on the record saying that she has already had private conversations with Vitale and the Assemblywoman does not create a legal issue, and also that Tom Palando's handling of this situation, publicly coming to the microphone that you're at, and stated months and months and months ago that we were getting this grant and we were getting this money, and then put onto Facebook through his Sayreville Athletic Association. No, I'm not done. And that his president sent me a text message acknowledging that he was going to use these fields for the Sayreville AA only.
Mayor,
and apologize.
Can we let the public speak?
She asked the question. I'm answering it.
She's done.
Well, but she asked the question. So does that bother? Do you understand what I'm saying? And that is a priority. So there you go.
At the last meeting,
there you go.
Last meeting, we all agreed that the public portion would be the public portion, and we would make comments after the public portion is closed.
But you didn't follow that rule, Mary. You didn't follow that rule.
Please let the public speak. This is the public portion.
Mary
voted it in. It's the public portion, Mayor. Please let the public speak.
Mary,
that's why they're here.
He's going to keep going. Mary, she asked me a direct question. I'm sorry if she didn't want to hear my answer, but I just now responded to your full question.
Which one?
All of them. Anybody else?
How are you? Brian Moore, 12 Gavel Road. I'm on the executive board with Sayreville Little League. I'm also a coach of a 10U travel team in town. So, guys, I apologize for the mayor cursing as the meeting started to make a point.
You don't have to apologize for me.
So,
I'm not apologetic.
When I listened to the last meeting, it sounded like nothing was going to move forward unless the mayor's signature wasn't there. And here I am, I'm standing here across from these fields where the mayor stood as a councilwoman holding up a $1.5 million sign out in front of the field with Ricky Melendez, Dan Buchanan, all the Democrats, all the people who were on the AA at the time. Then I see the soccer complex, and I'm wondering, does anybody want to investigate that? Investigate the 7 years prior to when you were a councilwoman, before you became mayor? I mean, let's just talk what it is. I've seen too many things in this town, and it's a shame that this doesn't look as packed as it should be. Because as I walk through this public, and the people who have dealt with individuals on this board should be here. They talk a big game on Facebook, they talk a big game in public, but they don't have the guts to stand here. I've been in many different things with you, Mayor.
Yes.
Encounters with your travel girls softball team, walking around, holding up permits and pushing men off men's softball fields, saying there was a permit. I get phone calls saying, oh, the mayor, she pushed me off the field. They got a permit for a travel team that apparently fell under the AA. Am I correct, Vince? This travel team out of Monmouth County with no Sayreville residents besides the two girls that were the mayor's daughters, that the AA gave a backing, that Vicky went to you and Tom to get the support? Is that true or not? That's a yes or no answer.
That's true.
I'm asking Vince the question.
Oh, go ahead.
He's the president, right?
I know I am for a month, so it was not my call back then.
Well, you were on the board at the time.
I knew that she had a travel team, but I didn't submit any permits.
I mean, we
for
get
her.
guys like Jay Davis who runs around in a soccer complex because we're going to charge him money. We're going to charge him to use the fees because he has no affiliation to this town. But yet we have the mayor who has no affiliation running a softball team on our fields. We're not charged. She's not paying a fee.
That was approved
we had Dan
under
Buchanan,
the AA.
who was standing on here in the board. Right here's your running mate, if I'm not mistaken, running men's softball.
He wasn't my running mate.
Well, he was on the board with you. He was a council person?
What, as a council, Michelle was my running mate.
No, it'd be when you were a council person, not a mayor.
He wasn't my running mate. Mary was my running mate.
Sorry.
There you go.
But Michelle, so long,
Michelle was my running mate. That's why
As
she
mayor.
got up here.
As mayor.
She was the councilwoman, and
You were
I
running for
was
mayor.
the mayor, and she was on my
Right.
ticket. Yeah,
Same team at one point.
same ticket, yep.
So, listen, we look at all these different fields, and the problem is that I understand, listen, we can all sit there and be, we all want to distance ourselves away from the guy. I got it. Listen, I'll keep my own comments to myself on an individual. But at the end of the day, let's put the kids first. Because I'm so goddamn tired of people. I've had meetings with Jerry Us, God rest his soul, with Tom, Jerry Us, the Board of Ed, Saraville AA, Walter Christian. We had a discussion to try to merge them. Every time I look, I see AA's numbers. They're always lower, right? And then I have another phone call. I get a text message. I want to leave AA. I want to come over to Saraville Little League. We got a successful program across the street right here with the two Leprechauns and Panthers that merged together. And that's been successful. And it has to happen with the baseball as well. But we have to start putting money with these kids. The fields. I know damn well that those fields at that AA, the lights are deadly. Someone's going to get hurt and a ball in the face. It's going to happen. But it's upsetting that these council meetings look like this. People voted for you, and this is what happens. I don't listen, whatever it may be. But for God's sake, start putting these kids first. I understand whether or not you want to go investigate. Investigate as long as you want. But go back as far as wherever you want to. Because there should be people here that had issues. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. I agree with them. I mean, this isn't about whether the kids are first. I don't think anybody up here would argue that kids need to come first. You're trying to mix two things. I don't know how many more times I can say it. The kids have always come first. The only difference here is you got to make sure that it's done the right way. Just let the process be investigated and done right, because then you're never getting anything. That's all it is. I mean, you want to try and vilify a person. I've made my entire life about coaching and about kids. It's not about that.
Mayor, I think the bigger issue here is we were willing to miss a deadline with no evidence pointing against accepting this grant. No evidence.
There is evidence.
What is your evidence?
Oh my God.
What's your concrete evidence?
Oh my God. Mr. DuPont, can we go through this again? Right now, I gave you a litany of stuff from the beginning of the meeting.
Those are your opinions.
She asked a question, Mary.
I haven't heard any evidence in 2 meetings.
We shouldn't be asking questions. They should be asking.
And talk to the council president. She just asked me a question.
No
Valerie
evidence.
Kinnan, 73 Zaleski Drive. How you doing? Mayor, no offense, but you've gone off the deep end. So at this point, what concrete evidence do you have that Tom is connected to this? Concrete, not hearsay, not he was in a meeting, concrete.
The evidence that I have has been submitted to the appropriate authorities.
Why can't you speak of it?
Because this is an ongoing investigation.
So, ongoing investigation that the other 2 grants that have now been submitted and approved at 1.5 that we have, Tom had no hands in that. Right?
I didn't say that.
Oh, but you signed those.
That was before the man was put
So
to
what's the difference if you
arrest.
sign one more?
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. Because at this point, if you're going to get in trouble for 2, might as well get in trouble for 1 more.
Are you serious?
Go to jail for 2.5 million. What is the difference? You sit here and say that you have concrete evidence that's in, I don't know,
Valerie,
or wherever
with all
it is,
due respect,
and
I
just can't
think
hear this anymore, Vicky. You sit here and you just keep going on and talking, but
because you
you're
seem
going
to
in
be having a
circles.
hard.
It's absolutely embarrassing to have you sit here and
I don't
constantly say
care
the
what
same
you think
thing.
is embarrassing.
You should. I am the person that's voting for you.
I don't care, Valerie.
Right.
Okay, you don't understand. I'm not here to. If a person is worried about re-election, then they shouldn't be sitting here.
Can we impeach you?
What? I don't know. You'd have to look up that.
Oh my God.
Okay, so Val,
Horrendous.
Valerie,
Horrendous.
We need to stick to the meeting, and I made my comments. This is an ongoing investigation.
Okay, so you can't give us any concrete evidence, correct? That's
This
what you're
is,
saying?
Mike, is this an ongoing investigation?
It's an ongoing investigation. What we are here to this evening is to speak about 2022-267, authorizing the submission of a grant application to the New Jersey Community Affairs, which already been done, for improvements. This resolution is needed by the Department of Community Affairs. That's all we're talking about.
Okay, so if everybody here gets the vote majority saying that they want to approve it, you're going to not sign it.
I don't have to.
Yes or no?
Val,
Is
okay.
that correct? Yes or no? I'm asking a simple yes or no question. You're not going to sign it tonight, correct? But you're going to possibly wait till June.
Valerie,
2023.
you don't understand what is being voted on tonight.
No, I do. I just sat here.
Really? Because I don't get to sign this. This has nothing to do with me. Tonight's meeting has nothing to do with me.
You need everybody to vote on it. And eventually you do have to
Maybe
sign
Mike can
it, right?
explain it to you a little more clearly.
Okay,
Ma'am,
go
so
ahead.
This evening is just to pass this resolution.
Right, then you're going to pass it, but
Right.
that's what I'm saying. You're going to
But
pass
the
it.
council.
We don't know
We
that.
still have to vote to
And so
support
if you
that
pass
resolution.
it, again,
And
if you pass it, are
goes-
you going to sign it?
We have
Regardless.
It still has to be.
doesn't get it.
It still has to be awarded.
Once it's awarded, will it be signed?
Once it's awarded, will it be signed? That's a very good question.
This is where I have to get. Okay, Val. Okay, do you understand what's going on here? I'm going to say it slowly.
I do.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to try and bring it to you again. This vote, okay, they don't like to hear the process. So for the people that will watch this at home, that weren't able to watch it today, this meeting, the council, not the mayor, has to vote on this resolution.
We understand.
Excuse me, ma'am, you can't speak from the pulpit, and I will, okay, you can keep, I'm going to.
We understand that.
I don't think so, because she just got up and asked the same question, and it's not accurate. This meeting is about this resolution. The council has to vote on this resolution. Excuse me, you don't get to run the meeting. This is going to be voted on by the council. The council has to sign it. Nothing to do with me. Now, here's where it gets interesting. We're supposed to wait to see if this is awarded to us, because there's supposed to be a process where somebody reviews the application and determines from the trough it's supposed to come from if Saraville deserves this money. See, that's the process that's supposed to happen with the grant. I'm not done.
We're in the public portion, Mayor.
And you're not part of the public. And I'm responding to Miss Cannon's question. Canaan. This has not been awarded yet officially, although Councilwoman Marr has said that through her private conversations with Senator Vitale and Yvonne Lopez, that it is already going to be awarded. I think that's a problem. Because it was submitted on the 14th. We have no formal receipt that this grant is coming to us other than Councilwoman Marr's comments.
Well, if we had our business administrator, he would be able to confirm. But right now, we do not have our business administrator that worked on
with an
this.
attorney to determine, and other agencies that may be looking into this, if this is appropriate, legal, or ethical, then I will be more than happy to sign off on the grant. And I have the opportunity and time until June of 2023 to do that. We have zero money to put forth on a $5 million grant or $5 million fields anyway. So why wouldn't we want it to be above board?
Denise, don't we get a forward upon, don't we get a
50%.
forward, we get 50% forward upon the start of the project and then, correct.
You also realize when this grant is executed, the grant term dates will be July 1st of 2022 through 6/30 of 2023.
There you go.
And she stated she would not recommend waiting till June of '23.
Correct.
I will not be looking at the grant writer to determine whether or not this is legal, ethical, and appropriate. She is not an attorney. She is not involved in the investigation into who has really caused this to be a problem.
And why are we wasting our money paying for a professional grant writer if we do not trust them?
If there is a way for you to accept the grant, then the grant can be issued whenever you want. So make a
But you did
formal
your
appeal.
research last meeting and you already knew that we couldn't. That's the only thing you researched, is that you knew that you were the
You're
only
darn right
one
I
that
did.
could sign this.
Because anything connected to Mr. Palando, I have a problem
So
with.
it's not
just-
about the kids.
Madam Mayor, quick question.
I haven't worked with that man in a very long time. I know you know.
Is there anyone else for public portion?
Anybody else?
Thank you.
My name is Jeff Gross. I live at 3 Dunlap Drive in Parlin. I'd like to excuse my attire. I was coaching kids before I came here tonight to support. What I'd like to talk about real quick is just you and everyone that's listening to this meeting full well knows that any legal process where you're going to involve an attorney is going to take more time than June 2023 to investigate. Would you say that's accurate?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, what I want you to know is you're delaying building or getting involved or signing off on an organization or two organizations, you can roll your eyes, that's fine, that have done nothing but put their time in and their work in for the kids of Sayreville.
As have I in those
Okay.
same
I haven't
organizations,
seen you.
both of
I haven't
them.
seen you, so I wouldn't know. I've heard things about the team, like Coach Moore referenced earlier, which is not something that I'm going to be happy about as a resident that continues to show up and volunteer for the town. Right?
Okay. I
So-
volunteered in both organizations
Okay,
and coached in both of you, both the Sayreville Little League and the Sayreville AA
thank you.
for many years.
Okay, understood. How many grants have you signed off on in your time, in your tenure here?
I don't know, but in reference to this particular project, there were 2.
This project, but you're not aware
Yes.
of how many previous grants you've signed off on?
I've been here as mayor. I don't know. I'd have to ask the CFO.
The police one, probably.
Cost grant, I would assume.
Yeah, yes.
We didn't question that one.
Did we, or you personally, or the town, hire a lawyer to investigate every avenue of those grants before you
Didn't
signed
have
off
to.
on them?
Mr. Palando didn't come to the microphone saying that we were getting them months prior to even applying for them.
Okay, and it sounds
That's-
like from everything the other council members are saying that everything is on board with this.
I don't necessarily know if that's accurate.
Okay.
But there was no issue with any person from the police grant coming up saying that they had already secured the grant months and months and months before yesterday's meeting and today's meeting.
Did that ever happen in the past where you were
Never.
where you were informed about a grant before any of that other stuff occurred?
Never.
That never happened.
I actually did with I don't remember if it was the $1 million or the $500,000 grant. I did have a problem with it, as a matter of fact, because the process, once again, was askew. And there was applications submitted, and then there was a time of whether or not, it was a question of whether they received the application or whether they received approval that the grant was coming. And immediately, because it came through my email that I had to sign off on it, that only the mayor could sign off on it. And I put this on record before. And I said, wait a minute. When was this applied for? Why is this coming in at this point? I'm not, and I didn't sign that one either initially, because as the mayor, I had to authorize specifically that these improvements needed to be done, and that I was authorizing and I was stating that this project was a benefit to the town, to the children, and to the community. Because there was a problem with, very similar to what's going on here, with the exception of Mr. Polando, with the bribery charge and everything that we know now. I immediately contact the business administrator. I had the business administrator reach out to the grant writer, and I believe I might have even called Mike, but don't quote me on that because I do have a lot of communications with him. And I believe even with Jess, because I came into or maybe Nicole, because I didn't even know how to sign off on it because you have to go into a secure thing. And I was not comfortable signing that grant immediately because of that. So I did question it. Now, that took...
hire an attorney and have a full investigation into it before you sign off on it.
Again, sir, what you don't
Because you're going to
understand...
delay the process, and we're going to end up
But,
not
sir-
getting the money that we need for these fields.
Sir, it's a lot easier to say that
I know.
from that pulpit
100%.
because your name doesn't go on it. And the last grant, which I questioned, was before Mr. Polando was arrested for bribery, and we now this council authorized an investigation into everything relating to the Cerebral AA and everything he touched. This makes it different.
Correct.
Right.
At a bad time.
Exactly.
Baseball and softball. in this town.
Exactly.
We need fields more than any other town.
Exactly.
Any other town, they have brand new fields, turf fields. The town that's down the street from us has 3 brand new fields.
Exactly. You're not going to hear argument from me on that.
I know I'm not going to
You're
argue with you. But what I expect from our mayor is to expedite that process to get it done, and not sit
that's
here
what
and
we're
drag your feet
doing.
and tell us you're going to drag your feet when you finally
Who
do find
said
out.
that?
You.
When did I say
We can tell
that?
by your attitude and your demeanor that you're opposed to everything that gets said, and that's fine. That's on you. But you say you're for the kids, but the people that are
You
for the
wouldn't
kids
have
sit back here right now.
$1.5 million
If what?
if I wasn't for this project. You wouldn't have the 1.5.
That we don't we need $5 million?
What?
We need $5 million, right, for the project?
In its entirety.
Yeah, we're not even close to that.
No, I know.
We can change the plans.
You're not understanding. What you're asking me to do is ignore all of what's happened.
Please.
That's what you seem to not understand.
You say we don't understand a lot, the people.
She's been to sign off at least us to get to about 1.5, right, of a needed 6. For this resolution, definitely she stated her opinion to the council, but it's up to us to vote any moment soon, probably after the public portion. And assuming, let's say it goes through, the mayor will still do her own personal investigation before she signs off. And let's say it did go through. Let's say it did go through.
I'm not going to waste any more time. Thank you. Have a good night.
I am afforded in the GIF, I'm afforded the assistance of the investigators that are currently handling, like you all received and saw in the news, prosecutors, state agencies, and they are looking into all of these things. It's not just here.
Would anyone else from the public like to speak?
I'm sorry. Does anybody else from the public wish to speak?
I'd like to make a motion to close public portion.
Second.
I'd like to make a motion to move the resolution.
Excuse me, you are not in charge of the meeting. You have to wait.
Go right ahead.
Council President.
Can we vote, please, on the motion in front of us?
Okay, so, wait. Okay, first of all, there was a motion to close the public portion. Was there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, is there a motion for the resolution? And make sure it's the right number, Mike, what's...
2022-267.
Is there a motion?
Oh, now I can make the motion? I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-267.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Mar.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
June 4.
No.
Novak.
Yes.
Anoha.
No.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the resolution that was listed about the submitting of the application has passed. There you go. Is there a motion to
Motion to adjourn.
adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good evening.